Recovery grain prices at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Jerry Gidel will explain you the reasons right here on Connected Farmer, your channel to keep you up to date with the latest trends in agriculture and livestock. Jerry, we have had a week after the USDA Acreage Report, and the report came up with higher intention for soybeans and everything unchanged for corn, but we have seen other factors that have impacted the market this week.
Yes, it's been a I would call it a bounce back week after really getting pounded going into this report last Tuesday, and that the uh, the acreage reports, as you mentioned, uh, didn't adjust down any big adjustments in the corn number, which was also 3.5 million lower than it was last year. But they did increase the beans by about 650,000, uh, up to 85.4 million. And interestingly enough, I think that that increase came from reduced uh, spring wheat and durum plantings in the northern plains. That's where these numbers uh, weren't as at least less than the trade in some of my estimates here that they wouldn't go ahead and because wheat did have a quite an impressive performance here this spring. Because of the dryness in the Southwest and the crop size uh, in the U.S. for winter wheat is looking like it still is going to be down sharply here uh, on, from last year. I'm anticipating the overall wheat crop numbers to maybe sink another 40 to 50 million from there on this upcoming report this coming Friday. Uh, on July 10th, but which isn't all that exciting, but we've already got them at very, very low numbers. So, but instead of some bounce back in some of the U.S. planting numbers on spring wheat, it looks like they decided to plant that into beans, which is not a bad alternative. But I was kind of surprised that the soybeans have been lagging this last spring most of the time. So from there, the other news that happened this week was got continued heat in Europe,
Well,
and that
I think one of the major drivers for corn was the export demand for U.S. corn.
Well, yeah, the numbers on exports are still strong at this point. We've actually had sales already in the books that are at the USDA's levels, and that prompts some ideas that we could see some expansion in the USDA's export total. I'm kind of anticipating that to be up 50 million or maybe more than that on this report coming up on Friday. The twist on the corn number is that we've got a lot of corn that still needs to be loaded and sent out the door, and that always can be problematic. Sometimes we sell it, and then sometimes the buyers decide they don't need it as quickly as they originally thought, and that is a possibility here because there was a lot of concerns about, as we talked about dryness in May and things like that in the U.S., and so that is it could be an interesting factor later. Uh, we got to actually average about 60 million bushels a week, and that's a pretty hefty total. We can definitely do it, but the biggest problem is will the overseas buyers that were wanting to get it in their pocket before when the East was extremely volatile, will they be excited about that now? I don't know. That's going to be a factor.
Yes, and we do you think that these price levels are good for sales, or would you wait a little longer?
Uh, well, the response. uh, they bounced back from their worst situations in that. Uh, I'd be sure that I would only have a 10% kind of remaining sales to go. I would to kind of consider that, this could be useful for people that are behind our recommended sales levels to this point of 90% or 85 to 90% to take advantage of some sales here around a holiday type situation. But interestingly enough, I kind of feel like this market is also going to be wide awake about things going on. The East, that issue it's been kind of volatile. They've had things fire up, and then actually even the tail end of this week, they calmed down a little bit to get some talks resumed at this point on that issue, and right now, at least, it looks like Israel is kind of cooperating, not taking pot shots at Hezbollah in Lebanon. So definitely a factor there too.
Yes, and these energy markets, despite the war, I think it had they have stabilized it at crude oil prices, for instance, they have been at $70 a barrel, so which is way below even before the war.
Yeah, they're stabilized at this point, but and that I don't know that the world's supplies, though, being in the right place at the right time, I don't think is still together here at this point. Even the U.S., I think, has used a lot of their reserves. So I don't know. There could this market in the crude oil is going to be even if things start to improve on the peace talks and that crude oil values are probably I don't see them going a lot further down, or do they could easily pop up a little bit on as we get uh, some of these ships that I have yet to really get a great handle on where we are on the number of oil tankers that have made it through the Straits of Hormuz and how many more we need, because that one is there's a lot of people that are way behind on that issue, and so there could still be some volatility there. Excuse
So
me.
what do you expect for the upcoming week?
Well, this upcoming week, we're going to be focused on the USDA's uh, crop production numbers and also what the USDA does with its old crop ending carryover stocks. As I mentioned that we've had some very, very strong uh, uh, indications here in the latest stocks report that was about 110 million less than expected. That our feed demand is just moving along at a huge pace here, and that it's always a difficult one. Will the USDA acknowledge it right away, or will they wait till later in the season? I kind of feel like that they probably should tip their hand a little bit here and decrease our carryover stock on corn from the 2.15 down to about 2 billion and that, which I'm even not sure where the trade average guess is going to be. That's going to be coming out earlier this week because our report is on Friday. So to some extent, that's going the right direction. It's not a number that's going to say, wow, even with my 2 billion number is not going to say, oh, wow, this corn market's quite tight. No, it's not. At the same time, the soybean stocks number that we had this week is maybe showing 10 million or so higher than the USDA's current uh, 340 million number. Uh, from there, of course, the wheat stocks or wheat numbers on Friday on the production will be important there and maybe tighten that one up just a little bit. I'm kind of looking for about a 20 million tightening of the carryover stock there. From that standpoint, the the interesting scenario here is that we've are showing on a late number that came out on Thursday about U.S. ethanol demand that from my calculations, looked like it was about 20 million higher than I was expecting at 470 million bushels for the month of May. From there, so uh, that could be an indication that that was really kind of tied into the spring advance in energy prices. So the demand from the U.S. Uh, gasoline sales was very strong. They were trying to blend as much of that ethanol in that was cheaper than the gasoline at this point. From there, so uh, this week's situation, at least, uh, will be kind of wait. We'll see what the trade average guesses come out to be. I'm going to sense that I'm going to be on the low side of expectations here on that corn number because I kind of feel like the USDA needs to acknowledge the fact that last year's crop size uh, was likely overestimated with the yield at 186. Now, even a 184 bushel yield is not going to be a number that's not a record level and also substantial going into us here at this point. And so that is a factor too. But as I said, I kind of feel like this market is going to try to wait, kind of go sideways going into this report, waiting to see the numbers and also seeing how this pollination period, which is just beginning, as it always is. We have so many crops that in the southern areas that, probably our pollination rate's around 10%, but it's not anywhere close to that in the Midwest and probably won't be going up real fast until the next week, starting with the U.S. Corn tasseling and things like that. And that will be important as to where the temperatures and the weather and ideas are at. So I kind of feel like this coming week is more of a sideways one, waiting for the USDA and seeing how this weather in the Midwest really stacks up during the month of July. It's highly important if we don't see another burst of heat out in this market. We're just going to keep trudging along here at this point because we are. Uh, right now, at least, the demand around the world is probably going to be waiting to see what kind of U.S. corn crop we have, and that's still to be determined, but based upon the weather we have right now.
All right. Thank you very much.
You bet.